The golden era of Alex Pereira, when he was able to dominate his opponents with ease, appears to be over. In fact, I believe that era ended as far back as UFC 313. There was no longer any magic or extraordinary surprise coming from him.
Perfect.
Honestly, this is disheartening because I truly admire Pereira, but the truth is hard to deny. The UFC has just announced the rematch between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. From the moment I read the announcement, I felt certain that Pereira would lose again. There's no gentle way to put this. Ankalaev will defeat him once more, likely in even more decisive fashion than the first encounter. In their first fight, many believed Pereira might have been unfit, overly concerned about the takedown, or simply unfocused. But after re-watching the fight multiple times, I had to be honest with myself. The problem wasn't external factors, it was styles. Ankalaev's style is a nightmare matchup for Pereira. Ankalaev doesn't need to do anything spectacular. He just pressures, stays right outside of range, and makes Pereira hesitate to throw. Pereira undeniably carries an aura, chaos, and star power inside the octagon, but this sport doesn't care about such things. What truly matters is style, and Ankalaev's style happens to be one of the worst for Pereira. Ankalaev isn't flashy, but he's clean, efficient, and tight. His distance management is exceptional. He stands just outside Pereira's reach, not running, not giving space, close enough to apply pressure, but far enough to avoid danger. Every time Pereira tries to strike, Ankalaev is ready, slipping, dodging, and countering with quick, accurate punches. Just look at the second round of their first meeting. Ankalaev stepped into range, Pereira froze, and Ankalaev landed a clean, fast straight with no telegraph. That fight exposed Pereira's weakness, particularly in boxing. Yes, he's dangerous with his iconic left hook, but when his kicks are neutralized and he's forced into pure boxing exchanges, his flaws become obvious. He rarely moves his head off the center line, his jab is stiff, and his defense relies too much on a static high guard. Ankalaev read him perfectly. He wasn't baited by feints, stayed patient, and consistently made Pereira hesitate to initiate. Every time Pereira tried to initiate, Ankalaev was already anticipating with slips and counters. Add to that Ankalaev's hand speed. His left straight and right hook off the slip were highly effective. Some argue Pereira was pressured by the threat of takedowns, but in reality, he defended every takedown attempt. The real issue was Ankalaev's control of tempo. He never overcommitted, never gave Pereira a clean countering opportunity, and forced him to fight under constant pressure. Of course, if one wants to give Pereira a chance in the rematch, there are adjustments he could try. For instance, he could consistently throw low kicks and combinations rather than isolated calf kicks. He could press forward early, take command of the center, force exchanges, and vary his stance to open up kicks to the inside leg or body. But even with these changes, I remain doubtful about their effectiveness. The core issue is style. Ankalaev is too disciplined, too tight, and too efficient in anticipating first strikes. His counters are devastating against fighters like Pereira. If Pereira stays passive, he'll be picked apart. If he gets aggressive, he'll walk into counters, or worse, takedowns. There is no safe zone in this matchup. Pereira thrives in chaos, fast-paced, high-pressure fights. Ankalaev, on the other hand, is calm, efficient, and able to make his opponent hesitate with every step. In their first fight, Pereira didn't just look cautious, he looked lost. He couldn't read distance, couldn't establish his jab, and was consistently late in his reactions. Even though Pereira managed to edge out the first and fifth rounds, the reality is, once Ankalaev had downloaded the data in the early rounds, he completely took over. Pereira did land some calf kicks, but he never built on them with combinations or traps. Ankalaev kept walking forward, maintained his tempo, and dictated the fight. That's why I believe the narrative that Pereira simply needs to be more aggressive in the rematch is misguided. Aggression is exactly what Ankalaev thrives on. He wants his opponent to come forward so he can punish them with that lethal left straight. If Pereira forces the action recklessly, he opens the door to takedowns as well. In short, this isn't just about strategy or minor adjustments. Ankalaev's style is Pereira's natural kryptonite. He shuts down Pereira's biggest weapons and forces him into a technical rhythm where he looks uncomfortable. I want to believe Pereira can show us something different, but realistically, I see the rematch ending even worse than the first fight. Ankalaev is now more confident as champion, while Pereira has to walk back into the very style matchup that already made him look lost. In other words, this isn't an even fight or a 50-50, it's a one-sided matchup. And in my opinion, Ankalaev will finish Pereira in the rematch, this time even more decisively.